Good evening, here are tonight's top stories. Kadaki Amsterdam has been released on $200,000 bail following a cybercrime charge. An autopsy reveals a Burbus man died of acute alcohol poisoning, and Vice President Barrett Jagdeo addresses teachers' demands for a salary increase. Stay tuned for the details of these stories. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more news.
Autopsy reveals Burbus man died of acute alcohol poisoning. An autopsy conducted on the body of Dudnath Singh, a laborer found dead in a house in No. 70 village, Quarantine, has confirmed that he died from acute alcohol poisoning. Singh, who had recently moved to No. 70 village from No. 68 village, was discovered lifeless on Sunday morning. Police reports indicate that Singh, who had been living with a friend for the past 2 weeks, was last seen alive on Saturday morning. According to the friend, they had a brief conversation before he left for work. Upon returning around 1400 hours HRS with a bottle of rum, the friend noticed Singh still lying on his bed but did not disturb him. Instead, he drank alone in the yard before attending a wake later that afternoon. When the friend returned home around 2000 hours HRS, he went straight to bed. The following morning, he found Singh in the same position and detected a foul odor emanating from the room. He also noticed what appeared to be blood on the floor. The friend immediately alerted neighbors and contacted the police. Singh's death has been attributed to acute alcohol poisoning, as revealed by the post-mortem examination. This tragic incident underscores the dangers of excessive alcohol consumption and highlights the need for greater awareness and intervention to prevent such occurrences. Kadaki Amsterdam released on $200,000 bail following cybercrime charge. Working People's Alliance, WPA, activist Kadaki Amsterdam, known for his controversial social media presence, has been released on $200,000 bail following a cybercrime charge. Amsterdam's arrest stems from a social media show where a caller threatened the lives of several high-ranking government officials, including the president and vice president. Amsterdam, 46, a resident of Buxton, East Coast Demerara, ECD, appeared before Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Thursday. The police headquarters reported that he was charged with using a computer system to incite individuals to commit a criminal offense against the president of Guyana. During his court appearance, Amsterdam pleaded not guilty to the charge. Magistrate McGusty subsequently released him on $200,000 bail. The case has been adjourned to June 10, 2024, for the presentation of statements and will be transferred to Georgetown Magistrates Court No. 1. Police have indicated that additional charges against Amsterdam are expected. The initial charge arose from a recent social media broadcast in which Amsterdam engaged with a caller who suggested that President Irfan Ali, Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo, Attorney General Anil Nandlal, and Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh should be beheaded. Amsterdam was arrested on Tuesday following the broadcast and subsequent release of the video by the police.
Vice President Barrett Jagdeo addresses teachers' demands for salary increase. Here is more on that press interview.
Dr. Jagdeo, with regard to this stalemate between the government and the teachers on their demands, over their demands, is the lack of finance the real problem why the government can't meet their demands or the demands that they're making?
Well, the thing is that we've made it clear that we are prepared to look at the issue moving forward. Maybe I should go back again. Our expenditure on the recurrent level for wages and salaries in the public sector in 3 areas: central government, the statutory bodies and public corporations, have grown from about 120 billion in 2020 to $210 billion in these 3 categories. That's a massive growth in public sector wages. All of this growth has to be financed in the future. regardless of the price of oil or the revenue flow in the future. And that's a massive increase. So it means that you have about 80 to 90 billion dollars more of disposable income to people, maybe a little less because you take out some in taxes. That's only from the public sector. That has to be financed. We said that the revenue flow in future years will be able, if sustained, and maybe through a sovereign wealth fund when invested, would be able to sustain higher levels of remuneration in the future. In the future, our revenue will grow maybe to 10 billion a year. We're under 2 billion now. So in the future, you'll be able to see some more increases in wages and salaries. In the oil, people use oil and gas revenue as an indication we should pay more wages now, increase wages. I just pointed out that only in housing sector alone, we're spending 1/3 of all the oil and gas money for the last 3 years that we've received our program in the budget. So you have to sustain everything you do. And therefore, we believe that all the country has to move forward in many ways. We have to move forward in terms of increasing wages and salaries, which we have done, as you have seen. We have to move forward to get better infrastructure so that people can have health care and education. We believe we have to prepare the future for non-oil growth, and that is why new power plants, ports, roads, etc. We believe we have to incentivize new sectors so we don't become reliant only on oil and gas for future revenue, just in case oil and gas prices fall globally. That is why you see major incentives going to the productive sectors in the economy, and these come through two ways: either direct injection to the sectors by supporting a whole range of other business activities, the soya project, the corn project, expanding cassava, a whole range of stuff, or through the tax system by lowering taxes for those sectors so you incentivize them. It's a complete strategy. It's not only focused on wages and salaries. And that's the only way it's sustainable and can bring benefits in the long run for Guyana, and we don't become like many of the countries that started producing oil, spent every cent money that they didn't even have at the beginning on wages and salaries and them splurging and didn't plan for tomorrow. We can't do that here. So what we've said to the teachers, we're prepared to work on the multi-year agreement going forward. You want a multi-year agreement? Let's start 2024, 25, 26, 3 years or 5 years multi-year agreement like we had in the past. Submit the proposals. They're insisting going back to not 2019 alone, they've gone back to 2017. That we must go back and fix all the increases that they didn't get on the APNU too. And the 3 years, including the 2-year COVID years, and the 25% that they want for the COVID years, increase in wages and salary for teachers, and most did not even work in the COVID years. And they want 25%, that was the early proposal, 25% for the COVID years too. And they ignore the fact about, even in the education sector, how much more we are spending, from 54 billion to 135 billion. They ignore the fact that 6,000 of the 14,000 teachers have now are either studying now, and once they complete, they will get a higher salary because we have given more allowances to people who have degrees, first degree, second degree, and a doctorate. They will get higher levels of allowances in the system. And another 2,000 who studied at Cyril Potter College as graduate teachers now. We've had hired 2,000 new teachers since we came into office. 14,000 teachers. If we go back to the agreement that the union had with the ministry under APNU, the ratio of teacher to student, we can now move down to 8,000 teachers, not 14,000. That means 6,000 teachers could be laid off. You understand what I'm saying? Because they had signed with APNU that I'm giving an example. Like primary school, you should have 25 students to one teacher in a classroom. We're down across the board to like 12.5. Then you divide the number of students to teachers. And that's what the union had agreed with, the workload of teachers, that one teacher should take care of 25 students. Now, if you look at the average, it's 12.5. But of course, it's not even across the regions. Some places you have more in some classroom and other places less. But that's the ratio when you look at like 14,000 teachers and you have 14,000 odd and just under 180,000 kids in public school. If you divide that, you will see that that is the ratio. A lot of those things you could do. Should we reduce the number of teachers and then take the same money we're paying and double teachers' salary? And then the next thing is that if you do it for teachers, you go back and give 25% increase. What are we going to do for the rest? We have to do it for police and every public servant. You can't just have that disparity. What about the nurses? The nurses are saying we made some adjustment. They're saying we worked through the COVID period. The doctors and nurses, we worked through the COVID period. We had to go to work every day. We put ourselves at risk. And why not us? Why not us? What about the policemen and the others who came out during the COVID? They had to report to work. So we're prepared to examine anything going forward. And what they're doing would basically, I'm worried about the teachers because if they keep striking and the number of days are growing, and we're going to get that decision reversed that was made in the court. Where you can't stand on an appeal. Any time that stands on an appeal at the CCJ, you have to shut down the country. You understand that? Because if it says you can now work and receive pay. You don't show up to work and your employers by law and in the Constitution would have to pay you. Then you wouldn't show up to Guyana work. You would just go and form a union in there and you don't show up, he has to pay you for the rest of your life. What will happen in a country? You just have to shut down. So it's as simple as that. So this will happen anyway. They continue to mislead the teachers and use them politically. That's what Coretta McDonald is about.